Joining us live now, the Shadow Home Affairs Minister, Karen Andrews. Karen, good to see you. Thanks for your time this morning. So let's start off with Paul Keating's AUKUS smackdown yesterday over the Labor government. What were your thoughts on that?
Well, it was certainly quite the smackdown and the criticism of the Prime Minister and also of Richard Marles and Penny Wong. So I think that it was a pretty extraordinary outburst. I'm yet to see there be significant pushback from the Labor government and Labor ministers against the comments that Paul Keating has made. Now, whilst he's entitled to make any comments that he so chooses, I think that he needs to consider the current positioning of China, not how things were many, many years ago when he was the Prime Minister of this country, but what's actually happening now. So there's a lot of information that is publicly available about potential positioning of China. Australia needs to be able to make sure that it has in place significant deterrence against China and, quite frankly, any other nation. I truly believe that the AUKUS arrangement is what Australia needs to be pursuing at this point in time, and to have a very strong allegiance with the United States and the United Kingdom is critical for our national security. Of course, there are always going to be questions that need to be asked, but I think that Paul Keating has gone way too far.
Yeah, I mean, well, AUKUS has pretty much got support across the board here, so he's definitely out on his own there. Let's go to energy. Karen, prices on the up. LNG exporters in your state of Queensland, well, they may now have to divert gas to head off a shortfall in southern states. There's also some concerns that over the next 3 years, that contracts, long-term contracts, may have to be broken to supply gas to the east coast, particularly in Victoria, where percentages could drop by as much as 50%. This could be a couple of tough winters ahead.
Oh, absolutely. And I think it's really concerning that the government seems to be doing very, very little to provide some practical solutions to what is now an increasing problem with the costs of electricity. So it impacts our businesses, both large and small manufacturing businesses, but every business, every consumer is affected by these rising energy costs. Now, we know that we have a lot of gas here in Australia. We need to be looking at what we can to ensure that supply is here. Now, I think that the Labor government has taken way too long to consider what its options are. Maybe it's had one too many reviews, consultation pieces. But the reality is that the people are hurting, the future looks bleak, and the government really needs to step up and show some leadership.
Just looking at the story in The Guardian this morning, Karen, documents published under Freedom of Information laws reports that Scott Morrison's former Assistant Minister Ben Moreton was appointed to administer the Home Affairs Department in March 2021 in a move that was not publicly disclosed at the time. You were Minister then. Did you know about that?
No, I didn't know about that. Look, given what we've heard, it's not surprising that I wasn't told about it, but it's not okay to behave in the way that the former Prime Minister and others have in relation to keeping information secret. Now, I have very publicly stated my views in relation to the former Prime Minister. Absolutely nothing has changed to alter my view on that. I actually had some discussions with Ben Moreton about a particular program that he apparently was appointed to administer, and at no time during those discussions did Ben Moreton raise with me the fact that he had been appointed to administer that and had been effectively appointed to administer parts of the Home Affairs Department. So I think it's just extraordinary. However, I think it's very disappointing that this information is coming to light now, and it does reflect very poorly on Prime Minister Albanese, because he set up an inquiry into the so-called secret ministries, and yet his department had information that was not made publicly available at that point. And I also understand that not all of the information in that FOI has been fully released because there are redacted parts. So this actually goes to issues of transparency with Mr Albanese.
Just back on you and Ben Moreton, what was the program that you were having discussions with him about?
It was a global talent scheme. And look, I actually was very clear in my views that I didn't think it was something that should, a program that should sit within the Department of Home Affairs, because it was much broader than Home Affairs. And in fact, Home Affairs role was really with the processing of visa applications. So it wasn't something that should have sat with
Right.
Home Affairs. And I was very clear on that view to Ben Morton. And I must say I was surprised, because whilst he listened to what I had to say, he certainly didn't take that on board. And I didn't understand at the time why he was ignoring my views, but now I do understand.
Right. So as far as you're aware, did he have any influence or make any decisions in that portfolio?
Look, not that I'm aware of. He obviously he actually declined to move the Global Talent Scheme from Home Affairs to PM&C, where I think it should most rightly have been, and that was my very strong view. And as I said, I didn't understand why he was taking that position and why he was going so strongly on that without making that view known to me. But I do know now.
Okay, yeah, man, just wrapping up here, but according to the report, Morton was assigned because it related to government deregulation agenda. I mean, does that wash with you?
Well, look, who knows what the reasoning was behind any of that, but I really just think that there was no reason to keep that hidden. I mean, the Global Talent Scheme was, yes, important, but why not make that information public? I mean, why did Ben Morton, in his many conversations with me, never raise that? Why did Scott Morrison never raise that with me? It just makes absolutely no sense.